We want to welcome everybody to our call today. Our title is The Exiting Business Owner, 6-Step Exit Process to Help You Plan Your Business Exit or Sale, hosted by Charles Wilson, CPA, CFF, CGMA, and CBEC, Certified Business Exit Consultant of Charles Wilson, LLC. If you don't know Charlie, he's the owner of a certified public accounting firm in the Houston, Texas metro area that was started in 2003, and he has over 25 years of experience in tax filing, consulting, and compliance. Plus, he has a lot of experience in assisting a diverse group of closely held businesses and their owners that are high net worth individuals with all of the aspects of financial planning and compliance, as well as business, exit, and succession planning. Charlie, welcome to the call.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we are here to talk about, what do I do with my business? A lot of times, most of the business owners, their largest asset is their business. But that business is an illiquid asset, and they want to know, how can I turn that business into a liquid asset when I'm ready to exit? And I was talking to a business owner yesterday, and in her mind, a perfect world would be when she is ready to leave, she would walk out the door with her keys, and the new owner would be walking in, and she hands off the keys to him. She gets the check for the business and lives happily ever after. And, and for the most part, that will just not happen. And so what we end up trying to do is really sit down with the business owners and walk through the process of how do I exit my business in an orderly fashion and get the business owner prepared to do that. But the first step that we end up doing is, we just ask them, how can I afford to exit my business today? And with that question, if you are a business owner, you're receiving typically a paycheck or a draw from the business. But then in addition, the company may be providing you a vehicle, paying some insurance, and providing, ability to entertain. And if you no longer have the business, what happens to those expenses? And so, so we go through the process. How can I afford to exit my business? And, the first step in doing that is to be asking the business owner, what do you currently have saved outside the business? What resources, retirement monies, Social Security, other sources of revenue that will be coming into you so that it can sustain the lifestyle that you choose to have. And so we go through the process of getting a list of all that information to determine the amount of money that you have available. And to give you an example, if the company has been providing a vehicle to you, and every 2 years the company leases a vehicle and provides it to you. Well, if that vehicle, if you had to turn around and purchase that vehicle yourself, and you were going to have it on a note, let's say at 6%, you would have to have somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 set aside that would generate an amount of interest to cover that note. And, and so that is the process of looking at what do we currently have saved outside the business to maintain our current lifestyle. And so we just want to go through and look at all the sources of income available to you today and what's going to be available to you in the future. And then talk with the business owner and determine what kind of lifestyles that they're looking at. There's some folks that may choose to stay in the area that they are currently, or they may choose to move where they are to a different location, whether that be in Florida, Colorado, or elsewhere. But what is the cost of living from where you are currently to where you want to be? If you want to go to, if you're in the interior of the U.S. And you want to move out toward closer to the coast, okay, the cost of living just increases the closer you get to the coast. And so, we need to consider what is the lifestyle, what is where you kind of see yourself in the future, and kind of quantify what that number is going to be. And then so doing all that information gathering, what we end up doing is determining what the value gap is going to be. And that value gap, we define that as what your current resources are and what you need to achieve in order to maintain that lifestyle. And then with that value gap amount, then we can determine, okay, that is what we're looking to cover with the sale of the business. And then from that, if we determine that the value, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but if we determine that the value of that business meets that number or is greater, then we're in good shape. If that number is less than the value gap, then we need to take some steps to increase the value of the company so that value gap is met so that we can meet the lifestyle that the owner wants to maintain once he steps away from the business. And so then once we've determined what the value gap is, then we kind of move on to the range of values that a business has. A lot of times a business owner, in their mind, there is one value that they're thinking that the business is worth. And really there's typically at least three different values. When a competitor is looking at a business, a competitor is looking to basically absorb a company, and so typically it is going to be synergistic in that it will either add to the verticalness of the business or to expand or horizontally expand the business. And so from that perspective, when a competitor is looking at a business, they are looking at how can we fit and expand our business from this or take away market share or something. And so typically a synergy value is typically the highest value because whomever is buying it, there is not going to be a lot of cost or additional value, input, time that they have to add to the business to get it up and running the way that they want to. Another value is called that we refer to as an investment value. And this is when let's say a private equity group is looking to purchase a business. And so this private equity group is they're looking at the various industries, looking at, okay, what markets are down that we can get companies of value, build it up, and, at some future point then turn around and sell it ourselves at a higher value. And so these private equity groups, the investment value, they are looking to invest in a company and get a certain amount of return. And so typically that type of value is not going to be as high as the previous one, just simply simply because the equity group or the private investor is looking for a certain level of return from the business. And then the final value that we refer to is called a fair market value, just what is just out there compared to, what we can get. And so a lot of times we will look at just companies of similar types. What was the most recent purchase, sale of those type business? And this may be, akin to, in the real estate market, a selling of a personal house, in that, okay, so-and-so's house sold for this much, and so I can take the square footage and kind of equate it to my situation. And that is the fair market value. What have businesses sold of similar size, similar line of business going forward? And that would be a fair market value. And so, when we're looking at working with the business owners and discussing, the various types of value, there are multiple values. And then once you get into the idea of, okay, how are we going to exit from the business, even when you get into doing an employee stock option purchase, an ESOP, that's going to have a different value. If you're doing a management buyout, that, will have a certain value. But these are all values, and typically what they end up doing is giving you a range. And then from that range, then you can kind of get an idea of, okay, we're going to be, targeting, trying to get in the upper range, or we're going to be targeting to get into the lower range because of certain circumstances and all. But values represent a range, and, from a high to a medium to a low, and where do we fit with the type of, let's say, potential purchaser that we're going to be dealing with, or the type of transaction that we're going to be setting up to help facilitate the business owner exiting from the business. But then once we have the value of the business, then we work with trying to talk about the transaction or the structure of the way that we would exit. No payments to the owner are going to be, how do we deal with that? Are we going to, let me step back. When we sell the business, perfect world would be, okay, I'm selling my business, someone writes me a check, he takes, he gets the keys to the doors, takes over the company, I take my check, go put it in the bank, and everything is, just hunky-dory, and, life is wonderful. But in a lot of ways, these purchases are done over a period of time. And so we may have received notes over a period of time where it's structured, and which, it's an installment agreement. We may want it that way just because that is, as we get money in on the purchase, we're not recognizing that income until we receive the money. And so if we have a transaction in which we get this big bucket of money on day one, then that is a tax. There's a tax consequence at that point. And we may not want to deal with a big tax hit at that moment, and so we may want to structure it so that we are getting the tax hit over a period of time in which it may, as a result, lower the tax hit without, going into or talking about different tax strategies to minimize the structure of the deal. But when we're talking with the business owners, it is going back to the lifestyle of the business owner and understanding what the business owner is trying to achieve. That is, going back to that first step is so important to understanding, what the business owner is looking for, educating about all the options that are available, and then helping him understand, okay, there are multiple ways to structure a deal, and trying to just educate him so that he can feel comfortable with the decision that he's going to make, and then that will then benefit him in achieving the lifestyle that he needs. But a lot of times, the business owner that I referred to a little bit earlier that I met with yesterday, they're active business, but then she owns the real estate and the buildings that this business operates in. And does she want to include the real estate in that transaction, or would she prefer to continue to own that and rent that to the new business owner so that there's a continued stream of income coming in? And, those go back to understanding what the business owner is wanting to achieve, but then also getting the stream of future sources of income, if that is what the business owner wants to achieve, and try to get that into our calculations and show both methods as to, okay, these are the consequences of doing it this way or doing it another way, and so that the business owner has something to compare and then hopefully make an informed decision. But just the idea of how a transaction can be set up, educating the business owner of various options of setting something up so that they can hopefully make the informed decision that they feel comfortable in, so that they can achieve the lifestyle that they want. But with that, understanding how the business is set up, whether it's set up as a C corporation, an LLC, an S corporation, a partnership, who are all the owners, how do they fit, are they active, are they not active, what is the cost that the owner has in the business to determine their cost basis so we can determine the value of what the gain may be, talking with the business owner about a stock sale versus an asset sale, what the tax ramifications are from one or the other, and which basically goes to the point of how much will be treated as ordinary income versus capital gain income. And so just understanding the structure of the business and how it is incorporated, and then all the owners, whether it's one owner or multiple owners, one family, husband and wife, or kids involved, or their siblings involved, all that comes into play in determining, okay, how do we set up an exit from the business and capture what is best for what the business owners are trying to achieve. But then once you kind of have all those pieces, then it comes down to, okay, we have all this quantified. Let's determine the amount that the business owner would receive from the sale of the business, and understand the different scenarios that we can do to kind of tweak it, adjust it, so that when the business owner is looking at this, it is like, okay, I am achieving that value gap that I want to overcome so that I can continue and live the lifestyle that I want to do once I leave this business. And kind of give you another example. Say a week and a half ago, I was out of town, and we're talking with a business owner that we did a transaction with a while back, and where he was up in the Northeast, ended up selling his business, and then transplanted to Florida. Want to get away from the winters up in the Boston area, and is now living in the Florida Tampa Bay area. And going through the process of how going through the planning, it allowed him to basically pick the type of purchaser that he was willing to talk to. He had a couple offers, but with all this information that the business owner had, he knew a private equity group that was looking at him. They would be changing the way that the number of employees that they had. They may try to merge it with another facility that they had, and so the idea that the employees that this gentleman had been working with for a number of years and just felt like they were family, private equity group may not have been the best choice to ensure the long-term employment of his folks. And so, that direction did not, proceed. But without the planning, we would have never have known that. And then eventually, another group came in, and basically this was, it was a group that was looking for his type of facility, in that what he did specifically, this other company did not, but the idea that for them to develop and grow to the point where this guy was, it was going to take years and a fair amount of investment, where now this group can come in and step in the shoes of where they want to be, step in the shoes of where the owner, and keep all his people, because he did not have those type of employees that he could just move and all that good stuff. And so this turned out to be the best option for him. It did meet his needs of overcoming that value gap that he was looking for to maintain the lifestyle that he wanted to achieve. And so, the whole point of doing the exit planning is talking with the business owner and educating the business owner of just everything that is available, educating them on the value gap, what they need to achieve to maintain the lifestyle that they want, and then to walk them through the process of determining the type of options they have on the exit from their business. And then once we do that, get it quantified, then the owner has something tangible that they can look at and refer to as they start the process of exiting the business.
So, Charlie, this five-step process that you just described, as people listen to this, if they think that whether it's today or they've got a horizon 3-5 years or more down the road where they may be starting to think about, how do I sell this business? How do I pass it along, the right way, maybe to employees or even family members who might be working in the business? How do they get started in terms of determining their readiness, so to speak? Is there a next step that they would take with someone like you?
Yeah, if a business owner can send us, or whomever, if they can send us their information, their name and email, phone number, we will send them a link to a survey, and we call it a Business Exit Readiness Index, and it's a 20-some question survey that they can take to determine where are they in the basically being ready to exit financially and mentally. And once they take the survey, they will get a 6-page report back that will talk about where they are. And then with that information, then if they choose to get on our newsletter list, we try to send out newsletters on a bi-weekly basis. Sometimes there's little gaps and all that good stuff, but there are newsletters that we send out to the business owners that talk about the various aspects of selling a business. And, the one that I was reading yesterday, reviewing, was deferred tax payments. What are the tax consequences of that? And so these newsletters will talk about various aspects of that a business owner will need to kind of go through the process. And again, all this information is, if we can educate the business owner, then when they are ready to pursue this, then they will have our information and they can contact us to set up where we can sit down and do a plan with them.
And it sounds like the more that a business owner prepares, whether it's the value gap that they need to try and compensate for in the sale of the business, or that range, it sounds like that they're not only going to probably get, with more preparation, a higher value for the company potentially, but you're able to always also help them minimize the tax implications that if they misstep and Uncle Sam takes a bigger chunk out of that, you can help them avoid that too.
Yes. And now, couple little comments here. We are big on options, in that the more options that a business owner or an individual has, then they have choices. And hopefully then they can make the choice that is more beneficial to them versus being in a situation where there is no choice and the consequences are what they are. I'll give you another example. We are working with a client in that he has an insurance practice, and we were not able to get with him earlier to do planning for him, and he is in the process of just selling his business. And there's a purchaser, but the consequence is whatever that purchase price is, there's going to be a tax consequence. And if, in hindsight, if we were able to work with him and educate him, there were ways that we could have minimized that tax burden that he is going to be hit with. But, that is, we're happy that he has a seller and that, he is getting a price that, that will overcome the value gap, and so he is not in desperate straits that way, but he could have been leaving with more money in his pocket versus the way that it's going to be going down now.
That makes a whole lot of sense. And for the business owner, like you mentioned, that wants to take that or figure out their business exit readiness index, to send you their information, what are a couple ways to get a hold of you? Can they call the office or just email you?
Yes, they can call the office, and the number is 281-993-4530, or they can send an email to charleswilsoncpa.com, and then just ask for the Business Readiness Survey, and we will send you the link, and you can get to the survey and provide all the information at that point.
Sounds great. Charlie, thanks for this information. I'm sure as a business owner, that, like we mentioned, just having some education level of the process that you need to go through can not only save you, time and money, but also maximize their lifestyle after the transition happens into retirement. And so, again, if you're listening and you have an interest, go ahead, send Charlie the information. Call the office if you have to. The email is on your screen, and we'll send you that Business Exit Readiness Index link, and you can get started. Charlie, thanks again for all the information, and for everybody listening on the call, we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.